Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Making Waves at Sea Level. This is the podcast that I started 7 years ago. It was originally called Cool Things Entrepreneurs Do. And the reason that I started the show was I wanted access to entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and business leaders who were doing really cool things in business because I wanted to be inspired to grow my career. You see, it was 12 years ago that I became a full-time professional speaker and corporate trainer. Now, over the last 12 years, so many things have changed in my personal life, in the business world, and certainly in the world of being a professional speaker and corporate trainer. 2 years ago, things got derailed by that little global pandemic issue. And I watched my business go from pretty robust down to basically nothing for about 4 or 5 months. And along the way, I had to pivot, try new things. I started doing a lot more virtual presentations. I picked up a bunch of other podcasts for companies and associations where I was their host. And I started doing coaching, both for lawyers and others, on how to grow their businesses. And then I started to see some of the trials and tribulations along the way that I was facing. I started to see some of it level out. Now, the previous almost 2 years were very hard. And I want to take advantage of this, which is one of the last episodes of Making Waves at Sea Level of 2021. I want to take advantage of this to do a very short episode on what I learned during the pandemic that has really impacted my business. So I'm recording this from my daughter's condominium in Chicago, Illinois. She is actually out of town with her husband or her fiance. That's a whole other story. They were going to get married in 2020, and the pandemic not only shut down the world, but it closed the resort where they were supposed to get married. They tried again that October, and that didn't happen. And now they're going to get married in 2023. They've got a new venue. They've got the wedding all planned, but they had a honeymoon that was already paid for that they needed to go on by the end of 2021. So they were away. I decided to come to Chicago and move into their condo and do some business planning because I'm going into 2022 needing to make my entire self different. I talk a lot, if you watch some of the videos that I post on YouTube, I talk a lot about starting over at 50. When I turned 50 years old, I made a promise that I was going to make age 50 to 75, the best years of my life. And now 5 years into that, I'm actually making progress at that. I'm calmer about things. I'm happier about things. My wife and I get along great. We're doing more adventures now that we're empty nesters. But here's the interesting thing. I did not plan for the live meetings industry where I earn my living as a speaker. I didn't plan for that to totally shut down for what is now almost 2 years. And when I say totally shut down, obviously things pivoted to an online world. And in the last 6 or 8 months since vaccinations have come back, there have been some live meetings and some opportunities to be in front of an audience live in person in a ballroom. But for the most part, it's been a long road. So I'm reinventing myself going into 2022, and I'm going to do things differently in my business. No longer is my business just what I call a traditional speaking business. And what a traditional speaking business is, I go, I give a speech, I get a check, and then I go on to the next client. That worked out great for about a decade, but now that world for me has changed. And now I have to do a lot more things. So as I look at the past 2 years, and there's a lot to look at, a lot of things have happened. As I look at the last 2 years and I ponder sort of everything that I've been through, I realize that having a variety of streams of income when you're a solopreneur is a really good idea. And one of the things I did is I went to work with an executive search firm doing business development. I've worked on a couple of searches, and I love that industry. It really takes together everything that I've worked on throughout my whole career. It's all about people, culture, and putting together the dots to find the right people for the right opportunity. And that's what I believe in. It's what I teach. It's what I think makes all the difference in the world. Because let's face it, all opportunities you're going to have come from people. So I've added that to my list of what makes up my career. And then on top of that, I started doing coaching, mostly for lawyers and business development. But every now and then, someone who wants to get into the speaking industry reaches out to me. They like my honesty and my transparency about the fact that you're not going to get rich quick. There's a lot of people out there trying to sell to people who want to be speakers, their coaching programs and their courses. And the only person who's making any money is the person selling the coaching programs and the courses. Most of the professional speakers that I know didn't get there by some shortcut because they hired a coach or they took a course. Most of them found success because they got deeply involved in the industry and worked it for several years before the opportunities opened up. And then another thing I'm doing is, as I mentioned before, I host podcasts for associations. Now, I didn't know that that was actually a thing a couple of years ago. I didn't realize that that could be something that I could do that would open up doors and allow me to make money while doing something I really like. I love hosting this show, Making Waves at Sea Level, and I love the 3 shows that I'm currently hosting for companies and associations, and I want to do more of it. I find it fascinating that this medium of podcasts has continued to grow over the last 7 years that I've been involved with it, and it's changing and morphing. So for 2022, one of the things I'm doing is I'm making an offering to companies and associations who plan events called event-specific podcasts. And I'm coupling with them to create a show that's either 6 episodes or 12 episodes that highlights their event. It can help them promote the event, highlight sponsors, and also keep the community engaged longer than just the 2 or 3 days that they're on site at their conference. So all of these things together, plus 2 or 3 other things that I'm doing, really have me excited about 2022. But the biggest difference as I go into 2022 versus 2019 and 2020 is I no longer have just one stream of income. I no longer have just one thing that I do. I now have a lot of things that I offer, and I'm continuing to tweak and change these things. And so what I have learned from the pandemic, and certainly in 2021, is I've learned that you have to be flexible and you have to be out there trying new things. You cannot rely on whatever the one path you're doing, whether you're a solopreneur like me or whether you're running a big company. If you're getting fat and tired, something could go wrong that's going to derail you. I'll be honest, I wasn't hungry 2 years ago. I had created a business that was strong. It had worked 10 years. I was doing better than a lot of people who really want to get into the industry that I was in. And I simply didn't foresee that something would derail me so quickly. I was honest. I did SWOT analysis around my strengths, my weaknesses, my opportunities, and my threats. But even the weaknesses and the threats, I never saw that a pandemic would come along and close the industry, something totally out of my control. I did see that things could happen that could derail me that might be from, my own, topic not fitting in, or things changing in the business world, or maybe me getting sick, or, getting distracted from my business. But I never saw an immediate, like within a 5 days notice, everything being wiped off of my calendar. And now as I go forward, I realize that all of us need to be prepared for some big catastrophic event that could derail us and keep us from moving forward. So I've been pondering a lot. As I told you, I moved into this condo for 2 days, and I've been putting big sticky notes on the wall with different ideas and different product lines, and assessing my own personality and my strengths and what I want to do and how I want to achieve it. And I've been working really hard at getting comfortable with who I am and who I'm capable of becoming in 2022. And so as I'm doing all of this pondering, I thought, I'm going to create a very short podcast episode for the people who listen to Making Waves at Sea Level. And first of all, just say, thanks for coming along on the journey. We're almost at 700 episodes. We just crossed the 7-year mark, and it's been a lot of fun. And the best part is I've met some amazing people. So if you're someone who listens to this show regularly and you've never reached out to me, please take the time, send me an email. It's just Thom, Thom, at thomsinger.com, or reach out on any social media. I think I'm Thom Singer at everything. And let me know that you like the show and why you like it. I love making the connections with the people. And then the other thing is that I want to inspire you to make sure that you're taking the time to not be caught in a rut as we come out of this last 2 years. I think there's a lot of people who just kind of buried in and did what they had to do. Most of you, fortunately, weren't really as impacted as much as I was and other people in the meetings industry. And that's actually a really good thing. If I look back to April 2020, I thought the whole economy was just going to go off a cliff. As it turned out, many industries thrived. Many industries were barely impacted. I talk to people all the time who, it's funny because I think be a little more observant, listen to the news, read a website once in a while. But they're like, Thom, I don't understand why the pandemic hit your business so hard. One person was a banker, And he said, the hardest part for me was I had to work from home where my kids were. Well, that's great. I'm glad that his paychecks kept coming, and I'm glad that he didn't feel there was any threat to job security. But as a banker, one would assume that you would have a broader view that different industries are impacted in different ways. I talk about the pandemic as the tale of two pandemics, because some people were seriously impacted and some people were barely impacted at all. And those two trains don't seem to meet. But I want my experience of my train going off a cliff almost. I want my experience to be something that all of you can learn from. So my lesson as I look back on this last couple of years is make sure that you're fully aware of everything that's going on around you. Make sure that you have a plan B and a plan C, and get those plans into action long before you ever need to pull the trigger to make them part of your business. And I've learned this. Actually, I didn't learn this. I'm reminded of this. My success, and I'm fortunate, I've had some successes along the way, even in the middle of a pandemic, but certainly before the pandemic. My success doesn't happen alone. It's not just because of me. Everything that I've accomplished and will accomplish in the future comes from having people in my network who have a serious win-win attitude. Now, I think the idea of a win-win attitude is vanishing in our society. I don't think there's as many people who are focused on win-win. If you just look at the people who are connecting to you on Instagram and LinkedIn, they want to have connection. And then the first thing they do is they go, buy my course, buy my product. I do coaching, sell, sell, sell. My God, take a step back, people. Let's build relationships and let's find a way to make sure that people are coming together. So I have been reminded that all the success that I'm going to have, and really the success that you're going to have, it comes down to people having that win-win attitude and helping each other and connecting the dots. And so one of the things I'm going to start doing for solopreneurs and speakers, and really anybody who wants to participate, is I'm going to hold a monthly accountability call in 2022 where we can just get together on Zoom. Anybody who wants to come will go around the Zoom room for about an hour, and people can share ideas. They can talk about what they're working on. They can toss an idea out there and other people can share it. And if it's a good idea that people can help promote, people will help promote you. So reach out to me at tom@thomsinger.com if you want to jump in on this monthly call that I'm going to host. It's probably going to be early Monday mornings. Haven't really set it up yet, but I'm really excited to do that, because to have success, we can't do it alone. We can't live in a vacuum, and we can't look at every person we encounter in person or on social media or other digital ways. We can't look at everyone as if, you're a hungry wolf and you haven't eaten and they have a pork chop hanging around their neck. It's like, oh, there's a person, let's try to sell them something. So that's why this monthly accountability call, there's no cost. You don't have to sign, you don't have to, give me money to be part of it. We're just going to get together and see what happens. I think that's awesome. So often everybody's like, oh, you got to monetize this, you got to monetize that. It's another thing that I learned the last couple of years. We don't have to monetize every single thing. I was talking to a young guy who has a group of really aggressive friends, and they're all coaches and they all have courses and they all try to sell to each other. I met some of them, and it's really kind of gross when they look at every single person as somebody they can separate from their dollars, even if they're friends. I don't know that that's necessarily friendship. That's like, how can I meet people and separate them from their money? I want society in 2022 to be less gross when it comes to that stuff. Now, obviously, I make a living, I sell things. So if you plan events and you hire a speaker, yes, I want you to pay for that. I want you to give me money for that. If you're a lawyer and you're looking for business development skills coaching, yes, I expect you to pay me for that. But I don't expect every single person that I meet is a potential customer. And yet I want to meet people, find out their story, see if I can help them, see if they can help promote me. I think we need more of that in the world. So I'm coming into 2022 with a lot of excitement. I'm kind of fired up about where we can go, and I want to do it together. So if you're a listener of this podcast, or you ran across this video version of it on YouTube, and any of this excites you, I need you to be part of my network. I need you to be one of those people who wants to build a win-win relationship with as many people as you can. So you got to reach out. I'll probably start a Facebook page for this monthly accountability thing. Reach out so that we can get there, because I think together, those of us who feel that the world has gotten gross and everybody trying to sell to everybody, I think that if we can create win-win situations and we can get excited when someone else in our group gets a client, has a win. I have a friend who, I won't say what it is, but she's up for a really big opportunity. Now it's an opportunity that could happen to me as well, but I will be equally as happy if it happens to her. because I want to see the people in my life who I care about, who I have those types of really good relationships with. I want to see them succeed. And when each of us individually finds joy in the success of other people, that's when the rising tide rises all boats. If everything is about what can I do for myself? How can I get? How many people can I get to follow me? Sell, sell, sell. That becomes a problem. So as I'm learning to do YouTube, I see everybody's like, oh, subscribe to my channel. And so I do that in my videos. But you know what? I don't want them to subscribe to my channel unless they want to subscribe to my channel. I want people who are watching the videos that I create to be people who want to be friends with me, to want to be people who want to see that rising tide raise all boats. I want it to be a win-win type situation. So I am fired up for 2022. And I know this episode of the show is a little bit disjointed. I usually have interviews, or even when I do a solo show, it's a little more focused. But for some reason today, this was inside of me and I had to share it. And we're coming to the end of the year, and I'm going to do 2 solo episodes as I wrap up this year. I promise the episode on Thursday will be a little bit more focused with some actual walk-away tips for you. But this one, I just wanted to rant. I wanted to try it. I wanted to see if I could feel as fired up on the outside as I feel on the inside. And I wanted to see if this resonated with anyone who listens to this show, because I've been doing this podcast for 7 years, and I love the show. But sometimes it's just a labor. But other times it's a labor of love. Sometimes I am so fired up to do this podcast. And today was one of those days. So I just wanted to go. I'm trying to learn to be more free. That's another thing that came out of this business planning is I don't have to walk around and be business speaker man. I can be Thom. I can be myself, and I can just let myself out more. I think that's one of the things that's been holding me back. And so if this episode seems a little different to you and you're like, I like it, let me know. Flip side, if you're like, this episode's a little different and I don't like it, let me know, because I'm trying to find my way and I'm just trying to be more expressive and to have more fun along the way, because I am committed to that thing I told you. I am going to make age 50 to 75 the best years of my life, which means I got 20 more years to suck it all up and have a wonderful time. Now, I always get the question, they're like, Thom, your dad lived to be 99 years old. What are you going to do from 75 to 100? Well, I'll tell you a secret. I'm going to cross that bridge when I get to it. 20 years is a long time. When I think back 20 years, I was 35 years old. My youngest child was just born. She's now a sophomore in college. She's an adult. She's doing great. She's thriving. She's trying to find her path. She's dating a nice young man. That's a lifetime that she's lived in 20 years. That means on this phase, this chapter of my life, I've got a whole lifetime ahead of me. I realized that in the last couple of days as I was doing this planning. I have to embrace the whole journey of that lifetime, that 20 years that's in front of me. I want to do it differently. I want to do it bigger. I want to be a better friend. I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better dad. I want to be just a better podcaster. I want to be better when I make videos. I want to be better on stage. I want to serve clients. And you know what? I don't want to hold back. I don't want to be in a box that's this big and blue. And people say, well, you're not what we're looking for as a speaker because we can't put you on a shelf over here. Okay, if I'm not what you're looking for, don't hire me. I just want to go out and be me. I don't want to try and fit into someone else's box that's a certain size and it's blue. I don't think I'm a blue box that sits well on a shelf, and I'm not going to act that way anymore. All right. So that was enough for this episode. Thank you for being part of Making Waves at Sea Level. Thank you for those of you who tune in every week and leave reviews about the show. I'll tell you what, in 2022, part of my goals is to take this podcast to the next level, and I need your help. I need you to leave those reviews. I need you to tell a friend about the show, and I need you to communicate with me. I need you to be part of the community. There's a Facebook page. Nobody ever really does much on it, but it's there. And I don't know, I just want to meet you. And I don't know that I'd meet you in person because you could be in India or you could be in California. Heck, I live in Texas, but I want to meet you online, even if it's just a couple of words in chat, because all opportunities in life come from people. And I am going to go forward into 2022 with that message. I'm going to double down on it. And you know what? Together, we're going to create those win-win situations that I talk about. And so I hope that you've learned a little something and maybe gotten a little inspired in this rant of an episode. All right, we'll catch you in a couple days. In the meantime, go out there, flex your business muscles. Make sure that your career ladder is against the correct wall, because in a global pandemic or a booming economy, you don't want to climb a career ladder, get to the top and look around and go, God, this is not where I want to be. You want to be doing what you want to do that touches your soul. And while you're out there doing all the things you need to do to be successful, have some fun along the way. Have a great day.